welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I will actually be talking about whether to buy an apartment or whether you should continue renting an apartment. So in my video, I'll be covering a few considerations that we found ourselves having to think about, and here it goes. So we were actually renting an apartment for a couple of years, and we had rented it from a landlord that actually owned the apartment, and so we were charging a price that we were negotiating almost every month. Unlike if you are renting from a real estate agent, there is a high possibility that you would be paying market related fees, and they increase with inflation. So we were saving in that regard. And so to us, it felt more of an expense to be paying 6.5 every month. And so we decided, hey, let's just buy a house. let's just look into buying a house. So the first thing that we did is look for financial advice. And that is very important because you are not buying a shoe, you are not buying bread. This thing requires you to make sure that you have all the T's and C's understood, and that you make sure that you make your research as efficient and as appropriate as possible. And so our financial advisor, which I found through my employer, they told us what things we need to look out for, what documents to have prepped, and where we can start looking, and what we need to think about. And so the first thing that we did is we downloaded Property 24 on our phones, and we started looking everywhere in Johannesburg. The one place that we were actually resonating towards was the East, and the reason is, being young professionals, the East was nice, it was fancy, but it wasn't too costly, it wasn't going to hurt the bank that much. And so when we went to do our viewings there, the one thing that we did find is that even though the apartments were quite reasonable and fair, the levies were another situation. But I'll explain more levies later on in my video. And the other thing that made us not want to stay in the East was the commute from the East to the North, which is where we worked, was a bit far, hey? When we looked at the petrol costs in general, that was the same as living where we were staying. And so what we did is we tried God and we tested God, and we were like, you know what? Let's just look in the North. Maybe we'll be lucky. Maybe we'll find something. And that's what we did. We went back to News 24, to the drawing board, and we found a place. After finding this place, we actually booked for a viewing and we came to view it. But we went back to our financial advisor and we told her what we were considering, and what she did is she did a background check on the developer as well as the body corporate that owns this place, and she did tell us that they actually have a good reputation, so it is something worth considering. We did our first viewing and we were obsessed with the place. It was amazing. And so the real work began. The first thing that we had to do is we had to go shopping for interest rates at different banks. And we looked at Absa, we looked at Investec, at Nedbank, at FNB, as well as Capitec. Now the theme is, if you bank with that financial institution, they are more likely to give you a favorable interest rate, which is what happened in our situation. We ended up settling with FNB, and so that process continued. We came for our second viewing just to make really sure that we were happy with this place. Again, we are not buying bread. We are buying a house. 20-year bond. You need to make sure that you are comfortable with what you buy. And so we came for our second viewing, and there was a few documents that we had to fill in to begin the process of purchasing. One of them included an affordability form, and basically the affordability form is we had to declare all our income, all our expenses in the month. And if you don't already follow me on Instagram, it is ELLE_Ramaila, and I basically have a highlight of what a budget looks like. Essentially, the affordability form is that budget. Other documents that followed was we needed to submit our 3-month bank statements, our employment contract, our pay slips, our ID, as well as our degree. Now, I'm not sure why we had to submit our degree. Maybe they want to make sure that educated people are buying a house. But I'm not saying if you don't have a degree, you can't buy a house. Maybe it was body corporate specific and a developer specific, but they actually asked for our degrees. Once we submitted all the documentation, what the developer did is that they handed over to the lawyers. And just like how I've said, buying from a developer might lead you into saving certain fees, and one of them includes lawyer fees as well as transfer fees. With the lawyer fees, they actually do cover it for you, so we ended up saving 25,000 rand. Even though we did pay a 20,000 rand deposit to secure the place, we saved a 25,000 rand on lawyers' fees. And basically the process with the lawyers is that they would draft the contract between you and the bank, where you guys agree on the interest rates in which you guys are going to be paid. And the interest rates that we settled on is actually a variable interest rate. Now it's important to take note that you have the option of either paying a variable interest rate or a fixed interest rate. If you do decide to pay a fixed interest rate, it means that you are risk averse and you don't want to take any chances, and you want to be certain about the amount of payments that you pay every month. The only downside with that is that fixed rates are also a bit more expensive than variable, because if it is variable and the economy is going bad, then it could be favorable for you because you'd be paying less on your bond payment. But if the economy is thriving, then there is a possibility that you might be paying more. But any investment, you need to look at your risk appetite. Do you want to take on the risk? Do you want certainty, or do you not want certainty? That is your choice. But hey, something to consider. Once the contract was drafted, we read through it, and now this process is also very important. You need to make sure that you are reading the contract thoroughly. It is a lot of documents. It needs you to read through it, and the benefit of also having a financial advisor is that we got them to actually help us read through the contract and make sure that we're not missing anything. And once we were comfortable with the contract, we were able to sign it, and the lawyers handed it over to our bank of choice, which was FNB, and it was a waiting game from there. We waited almost a month for them to actually approve our home loan, which they did. Yay, homeowners! And then after that process, we had to wait again for them to actually register the apartment. And so waiting means that if you're not already renting a place right there and then, you need to make sure that you have a place to stay while you're waiting, because this process doesn't take 2 days, maybe even a month, maybe 2 months, maybe sometimes 6 months. You don't know. COVID is a real thing. But we actually had to wait 2 months before everything was actually finalized. And after the house was registered, or the apartment was registered, we actually did the handover, and it was amazing. After that, we actually got complimentary appliances from our developer. That just means that we got a free fridge, washing machine, as well as a tumble dryer. Now, the costs that follow after you buy a house is you actually have to pay for your levies if you are living in an estate. So we are currently living in an estate, and so the levies cover the upkeep of the estate. That just means that they use the levies to pay the security guards, to mow the lawn, to take out the trash, etc., etc. And then you also have to pay your rent and your taxes, covering your water as well as your taxes. Another thing that was amazing about this place is that the stove that we are using is gas, and so we are saving on electricity, as well as there is no geyser, there are heat pumps, and so the heat pumps heat up the water, and we are saving on electricity in that regard. So those are a few things that you might want to think about. It is a lot of admin. You need to make sure that you are really, really comfortable with everything that is happening. It is a 20-year bond, guys. You don't want to quick, let me just read over, sign. You don't know what you're signing. Make sure that your financial advisor actually goes through the contract with you, that you really understand the terms and the conditions. Make sure that you are comfortable with everything, even the body corporate, because there are instances where you are paying hectic levy fees because the body corporate, for example, is in debt, and they actually use levy fees to recover themselves, and so you end up incurring the cost on behalf of the body corporate. But otherwise, I hope this video was informative. It is a lot to digest. It is a big purchase. You are not buying bread. A lot of things to consider, but I hope this video is able to help all future home owners and all those that want to rent an apartment. If you do want me to do a video on looking for rentals, please leave a comment down below. But otherwise, I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, to comment, to share, and to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.